every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. Today we're going to be looking at tight end Jaheim Bell within the rookie tight end machine learning models. Can Jaheim Bell go from a late 7th round draft pick into fantasy stardom and starting in your fantasy lineups? Our machine learning models hold the answers. Let's get into it. Jaheim Bell comes into the league being drafted at pick number 231 overall, 7th round draft pick of the New England Patriots. He played college football for the Florida State Seminoles and South Carolina Gamecocks. Comes in at 6'2", 241 pounds, ran a very good 4.61 40-yard dash, but at 241 pounds, it's not that great of a speed score, which we know is important for the models here. 10-inch hand size is good. Had a 16.9% college dominator rating, 15.4% college target share, 20.2 breakout age. Those are some of the numbers going into his particular model. Let's go look at the first season and see what we have for Jaheim Bell. And as you might expect for a late round pick, he comes in a little bit above 2 fantasy points per game and between 2.5 fantasy points per game. Ranked the 9th and 10th best mean and median in the class out of 12. Does have the 12th best 75th percentile, so the worst actual 75th percentile here in the class. Maximum output at 7.60 is the 7th best in the class. Let's go look at historical comps. Who's hovering around 2.25 fantasy points per game during their rookie season? We have a whole bunch of tight ends in between 2 and 2.3 fantasy points per game. Those names are Nick Casa, Ben Braunecker, James Mitchell, Tyler Higbee, Nick Bennett, Connor Hayward, Dominique Daphne, Deion Sims, Andrew Black, Josh Wiley, Zach Sudfeld, Troy Nicholas, Trevon Wesco, and Henry Krieger Coble. Those are quite a few names there. Really, Tyler Higbee about the only one that was any fantasy relevant person at any given time. The 7.60 would be a pretty decent one for a rookie score. O.J. Howard hit 7.8 in his rookie season. Albert O just behind that at 7.21. And then we have Zach Ertz, George Kittle, and Adam Shaheen all hitting 7.1. A little bit above his mark here. 8 for Will Tye, 8.1 for Chris Herndon and Ian Thomas in their rookie seasons. Again, I don't think they were doing that on a lot of volume. All right, let's get into year 2. See if we see any improvement here out of Jaheim Bell. And we see him go up about a fantasy point per game. Mean and median still 9th and 7th best in the class there. Nothing to write home about. Maximum output at 8.69 fantasy points per game is the 9th best in the class. Let's go look in between 3.5 fantasy points per game. Who is hitting that in the last 11 draft classes in year 2? These are all the tight end names in between 3 and 3.5 fantasy points per game. Chris Gregg, Tommy Tremble, Marquise Gray, the converted quarterback, David Morgan, Joseph Faria, Adam Shaheen, Lucas Krull, and Nick Boyle. Not a list of guys that you're particularly wanting on your fantasy squad. Let's go check out that max output at 8.69. That's just above Jordan Reed in his second season. He hit 8.6. Michael Rivera, 8.3. Irv Smith, 7.58. A little bit above that, Zach Ertz, 9. Mike Gesicki, 9.1. And Pat Freiermuth, 9.26. All right, let's get into season number 3 for Jaheim Bell. Do we see further improvement? And we do. He goes up to almost 4 fantasy points per game. 8th best in the class here for mean and median at 3.92 and 3.86 respectively. Maximum output is the 9th ranked at 10.33. Historical comps, who's hovering in between about 3.75 and 4 fantasy points per game in their 3rd season out of the last 11 tight end draft classes. All of these guys are in between 3.7 and 4.4 fantasy points per game during their 3rd year. Seth DeValve, Tommy Tremble, Austin Safarian Jenkins, Will Dissly, Chris Gregg, Will Tye, Durham Smythe, Colby Parkinson, Timothy Wright, Noah Gray, Crockett Gilmore, Lawrence Cager, converted wide receiver, and Michael Rivera I would say we see quite a few common names here. Chris Gregg, not somebody that you were ever wanting on your fantasy squad, so keep that in mind. Maximum output at 10.33 is pretty solid here. That's in between Austin Hooper and Dallas Goedert in their third season. A little bit above that, Mike Gesicki and Dawson Knox. A little bit below Austin Hooper here, we have Noah Fant and Jacob Hollister. Those are roughly the names that you can look at if he hits his ceiling. Let's get into year 4. Do we see further improvements? And really, he kind of stays the same, and his rankings at 10 and 8 respectively for the mean and median leave some meat on the bone there. Minimum at 7th rank and maximum at the 12th ranked in year 4 suggests he's got more of the higher floor and low ceiling variety of a profile, not something that you're usually interested in. Probably somebody that you can leave on your waivers. Getting into the historical comps for year 4 tight ends in the last 11 draft classes, who's hovering right around that 4 fantasy point per game range. And all these guys in between 3.9 and 4.2 fantasy points per game. See Logan Thomas, Marquise Gray again, Levine Toilolo, Luke Wilson, David Njoku, Durham Smythe, Jacob Hollister, and Matt Lacoste. Maximum output at 8.84, just above Evan Ingram in his 4th season at 8.81. Cameron Brate 8.9, Dawson Knox 9.05, and Jack Doyle 9.1. Vance McDonald 8.7, and then a dip down to Eric Ebron at 8.3 and Tyler Conklin at 8.14 during their 4th season. So that's the profile there for Jaheim Bell. Hopefully you get a little better idea of what type of prospect this guy is, looking at some of those mean and median outcomes in the names that were in there. Guys like Chris Gregg don't bode well for his fantasy output. All right, that's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Jaheim Bell. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.